y equals mx plus c. You'll see this a lot, and you'll see it around the world as well, not just in Australia. This is the equation of a straight line that has a gradient of m, so the slope is m, and the y-intercept is c. Just to show you what I mean, if I write in Desmos y equals mx plus c, and I can add sliders for all these things, the m here controls the gradient. If it's positive, then it goes up. If it's negative, then it goes down. If it's very large, in other words, if there's a very large number here, then it will be quite steep. The other number, or the other variable, c, is the y-intercept. The y-intercept here is 1. If c was 10, in other words, this equation is y equals 2.5x plus 10, then the y-intercept would be 10, and that's where it would cross the y-axis. So you can tell a lot from a line just by looking at its equation. In the real world, these things have, meaning. For example, the gradient is how quickly something changes, the c is the starting value, and you can tell a lot from that just by looking at the equation. Once you get used to it and an intuition for it. It says to state the gradient and y-intercept for these equations. I just want to prove to you, before I show you the answer, I just want to prove to you that this technique really does work. The first one is y equals 3x take 2. So, I'll just zoom in a bit. You can see that the gradient is 3, because for every unit across, I go up 3 units. I go across 1 and up 3. I go across 1 and up 3. The y step divided by the x step is 3. So the slope or gradient of this is 3. But what about the y-intercept? Well, that's where it crosses the y-axis, which is this one. So the y-intercept is -2. And you can see that just from looking at the graph. In other words, the slope is the coefficient of x. It's the number before the x, or what x has been multiplied by. And the y-intercept is -2. The y-intercept, by the way, is the constant term. The term that doesn't have an x in it, in other words. What about this one? Well, to make it a little bit easier, we can rewrite it so that the x term, the term with an x in it, comes first. Remember that this is a term and this is a term. The term includes the plus or minus sign that comes before it. Now we can see that the gradient or slope is -7, and the y-intercept, the constant term, is 5, because that is the term that doesn't have an x in it. Cool. We have another one here that looks like it's trying to trick us, doesn't it? Y equals -3/4. But we can do the same thing. We can write this as, well, one way to think of it is that it's 0 times x, take 3/4. The other way to think of it is that there is no x term, so the coefficient is 0. Either way, the slope here is 0. Just to rewind, just to check why this is true, I'm sure you would agree that 0 times 7 is 0. 0 times 1,000 is 0. 0 times x will always be 0. So this term is the same as if it didn't exist. So adding it there doesn't change anything. Anyway, either way that you think of it, the coefficient of the x term is 0, or the gradient m is 0, and the y-intercept is this constant term, this -3/4. I might show you what this one looks like, just so you can see what y equals -3/4 looks like. And sure enough, you can see the gradient or slope, there's 0. There's no incline at all. It's not going up, it's not going down. The gradient is 0. And the y-intercept really is -3/4. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.